we're just waiting for the streaming to be able to start. Okay. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. So I want to begin by thanking Nancy Rennick, our outreach team leader, for being our Bima guest tonight. Thank you. Aviv for leading us in music, and Lori, thank you for streaming so folks at home can watch services. So to start off tonight, let's just take some time to help us move from the busyness of the week into the holiness and the peace that Shabbat offers us. So I'm going to invite everyone to please take a deep breath in and hold it. And exhale slowly. Let's take another deep breath in together. And release it slowly. And one more. And release slowly. I already feel calmer. I breathed in the peace of Shabbat and the stress of the week. So we're going to start on page 10 with the singing of Hine Ma Tov.
Hine ma tov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad.
I invite Noah to the Bima to light the Shabbat candles. Page 3 is where she will do the reading.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. So this time last week, we had 8 members, younger members of our congregation, leading us in worship for our Camp Shabbat. And if you were not able to see it, I invite you to go onto our Temple Shalom YouTube page and watch it. Each of them wrote something, and each piece was meaningful. And so an invitation if you weren't here. We are going to continue responsively on the bottom of page 6. May the door of this synagogue be wide enough to receive all who hunger for love, all who are lonely for friendship. May the door of this synagogue be narrow enough to shut out pettiness and pride, envy and enmity. May it be too high to admit complacency, selfishness, and harshness. We continue now on page 10 with the singing of Hine Matov. Excuse me, Ma Yafeh Hayom.
Hey, what Rabbi says goes. I was ready to go back into it. Ma Yafeh Hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Ma Yafeh Hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom.
I invite all who are physically able to rise as we open the Ark for the Baruch Hu, page 28.
Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. La 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach Baruch Adonai HaMevorach HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed HaMevorach HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed.
Please be seated. We're going to continue on page 30 in Hebrew with our blessing for creation, Ma'ariv Aravim, as we join together. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim bechokma poteach she'arim uvitvuna mishane itim umachalif et hazmanim umisader et hakochavim b'mishmerotehem barakia kirtzono Borei yom v'layla, golel or mi pnei choshech, v'choshech mi pnei or. Uma'avir yom umevi layla, umavdil ben yom uvein layla. Adonai tzvaot shemo, el chai v'kayam, tamid yimloch aleinu leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim. So the next piece for us is Ahavat Olam, which talks about God's love for us, and that love led God to give us the Torah. So before we join together in the singing, I want to offer anyone here, if there is something that you find particularly meaningful in the Torah, whether it's a Torah portion or a concept, or anything that has to do with the Torah that you have found meaningful, I will bring the mic and would love to hear what people have to say. So who has something that they would like to share that we find in the Torah that is meaningful?
Okay, I just thought of this, but it goes back to Exodus when Yethro visits his son-in-law Moses, and he sees his son-in-law sitting there day and night, just solving everybody's problems. And Yethro says, "What are you doing? You are going to tire yourself out." And I just get this impression of a modern-day father-in-law talking to his son-in-law, his daughter married, who's clearly not good enough for his daughter, and telling him how to do things the right way. And this always struck me as it humanized Moses more so than anything else I could think. That here was somebody, not God telling him what he's doing wrong, but another human being who had lived a long time and had a lot of experience to impart. And Moses, realizing he's not perfect, listened.
Thank you. Who else has something in the Torah, anything that you relate to or that's meaningful? Anybody else? All right, Nancy.
It's not a specific passage, but I try and read my Gunter Plaut Torah with commentary, read the portion, and I have found each time I read, kind of go through it every year, it hits me differently.
Thank you. And I think that's true, right? Like, depending on where we are in our life, what speaks to us, what sticks out, changes. So that's very true. Does anybody, okay, here we go, Carrie.
Like Nancy, it isn't anything specific, but I'm always amazed with the commentary. I'm always amazed at the commentary, how they can come up with how the rabbis from the Talmud come up with their explanations of the Torah. It just is amazing where their heads are at and how they disagree and how it plays out. And I find that fun.
I appreciate that too. Yeah, and that whole idea of discussing and debating and questioning, right? That's all it's all an example of how our tradition is based and centered around asking questions, the creativity Carrie just said, absolutely. Anybody else? Going once, twice? Well, I'm just going to share that, there's so much in the Torah that I really love, but there's a line more than once that you find where God says, "Ani yeh imach," I will be with you. And I really cling to that at times, to really know that I am not alone in this world, even especially when life can feel overwhelming, to know that there's the Creator is there for me, just the way God was there for our forebears.
I like to think of the people in the Torah who made mistakes, because just how we make mistakes in everyday life and we're not perfect, they weren't perfect and they made a lot of mistakes. Some people in the Torah were cruel, some people in the Torah were mean, and some people just had some bad moments. I think that just kind of describes us sometimes as people sometimes.
Right, so what I'm hearing you say is that you relate to that idea that our matriarchs and patriarchs and others in the Torah, our biblical heroes, were not perfect. And if they weren't perfect, then it also makes space for us to be accepting and forgiving of ourselves when we make mistakes too, right? Thank you. Okay, so now that we've thought a little bit about the Torah, let's continue with the singing of Ahavat Olam, which can be found on page 32.
Ahavat Olam Beit Yisrael Amcha Ahavta Torah u'mitzvot חוקים ומשפטים, אותנו לימדת, אותנו לימדת. על כן אדוני אלוהינו בשוכבנו ובקומנו נשיח בחוקיך ונשמח בדברי תורתך מצוותיך לעולם ועד כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו ובהם נגה יומם בלילה, נגה יומם בלילה, באהבתך אל תסיר, ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל. Ohev Amo Yisrael.
I want to mention that there are song sheets on that black stand. So after we rise for the Shema, before you sit down, if you did not grab a song sheet, I invite you to do so because we will be singing those songs during services tonight. So now I invite all who are physically able to rise for the Shema, page 34, the watchword of our faith.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Va'ed. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Feel free to be seated, and we continue with the chanting of Yahavta, page 36.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם אלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
So the next piece that we will chant on page 40 is the Mechamocha. And we know that this is what the Israelites chanted after they crossed the Sea of Reeds, and after they were free. And not to embarrass you, Willa, but I know Willa is going back to college this weekend. So first of all, we wish you a really wonderful year. And in particular, I think of this prayer tonight in regards to freedom, because schools have started and students, particularly Jewish students, many of whom have not felt free to publicly display their Judaism, whether wearing a Jewish star or wearing a kippah and instead wearing a baseball cap, or doing something to not be outwardly Jewish, because they didn't feel free, that they would be free from verbal or physical attacks. We know that that Jews are under attack, and as a people, in a way, in numbers that we have not seen in a long time, do not feel free to not worry about consequences of expressing our religion or our views on Israel, particularly if we support Israel and believe in the Jewish homeland, regardless of our thoughts about the government. And we know that there are Jews that are calling themselves anti-Zionist, and I wonder if they really don't believe that Jews deserve a homeland, or if they are saying that because they're oppose the views of the government. The point is, whatever their reasons are, Jews today, many of us, are concerned about outwardly expressing our Jewishness or our support for Israel. And so, Willow, when you go to school, I hope that you will have a peaceful year, free from any type of discrimination or having to deal with anything on campus that makes you feel uncomfortable. If people found out you were Jewish. And my daughter's here, I hope too, although you've already had an incident, that this school year you can be free from people not wanting to associate with you because you happen to be a person who supports the existence of the state of Israel. So as we think of Mi Chamocha, we can think not only of our ancestors who found freedom, but we also are mindful of the work that needs to be done so that we here, and literally Jews today in Israel and around the world, can feel free to be Jewish and not live in fear. Mi Chamocha, page 40.
Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha nover ba'kodesh, nora tehilot osef ele. Malchutecha ra'u vanecha, bokeh yam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam, ze'eli anu ve'amru, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed.
Thank you, Aviv. So our next blessing is Hashkivenu. There are various English interpretations as well as the Hebrew on 42, 43. And I'm going to invite you, though, to turn to your handout, the first one that says Hashkivenu on it. And we've done this many times, and I know it's one of Aviv's goals when he has some time to learn it. So let's join together with Dan Nichols in the singing of Hashkivenu. I always love those birds at the end. At this time, we're going to continue with the Amidah on page 46 and moving forward with on the even-numbered pages. Please rise.
Adonai Sefatai Tiftach Ufi Yadi Tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם, בעזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע, מוריד הטל, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יעלוך סלע. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
Please be seated. Page 55. Let's join together on the top of the page, which these words we pray for all of us and for all those we love and all those who are in need of these prayers. Together, may these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. Page 57. Let's join together on the bottom of the page. You are with us in our prayer, our love, and our doubt, in our longing to feel your presence and do your will. You are the still, clear voice within us. Therefore, O God, when doubt troubles us, when anxiety makes us tremble, when pain clouds the mind, we look inward for the answer to our prayers. There may we find you, and there find courage, insight, and endurance. And let our worship bring us closer to one another, that all Israel and all who seek you may find new strength for your service. Baruch atah Adonai, she'otcha levadcha b'yirah na'avod. And page 59, let's join together in our Hoda'ah, which is our blessing for Thanksgiving. God of goodness, we give thanks for the gift of life, wonder beyond words, for the awareness of soul, our light within, for the world around us so filled with beauty, for the richness of the earth which day by day sustains us. For all these and more, we offer thanks. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha ulacha na'eh lehodot. We continue now on page 60 with Shalom Rav, our prayer for peace.
Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha tasim le'olam. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rahava Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rahava Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. V'tov ve'einecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael v'chol eitu v'chol sha'ah Shlomecha. Shalom Rahava Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rahava Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam.
At this time, we call to mind our loved ones who are in need of prayers of healing tonight. Our prayers are with Lev Dickerman, Teresa Todd, Al Unger, Beth Haberman, Paul Tackett, Alvin Casson, Glenn Fosnacht, David Rosenberg, Eddie Abraham, Sharon Gould, Cherry Stuman, Alan Ehrlich, Ted Worth, Bob Title, David Doctorow, Carolyn Rosenthal, Alan Ehrlich, Nancy Fosnacht, Aaron Slayton, Ellen Goldwyn, Judy Yesowitz, the men and women of the U.S. Armed Forces, the hostages who have been held in Gaza now for 322 days, the Israelis who continue to be displaced from their homes and continue to live with daily missile and rocket attacks from multiple fronts, and the victims of the war between Israel and Hamas on both sides of the conflict. I invite you to share the names of your loved ones so we can keep them in our prayers tonight.
David Shapiro.
Tonight, our Misha Baruch prayer for healing can be found on the handout entitled Heal Us Now.
We pray for healing of
Emotenu, Misheirach Emotenu, Ananai Oshiach. We pray for healing of our people. We pray for healing of the land and peace for every race and nation, every child, every woman, every man. El Narifana. Oh, please heal us now. Refuat ha-nefesh, refuat ha-guf, refuat shelema. Oh, please heal us now. Refuat ha-nefesh, refuat ha-guf, refuat shelema. Heal us now. Heal us now. Heal us now. Heal us We continue with Tefillat Halev, the prayers of our heart.
Ose shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen. Ose shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen. Ose shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen. Ose shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen.
Thank you, Aviv. So this week has been really intense, a lot going on. And so I thought that tonight it might be nice just to think about some accomplishments of Jewish people. And I'm not talking about Israel per se. We know there are a lot of inventions and things that have come out of Israel. Some of these are older, but I thought it could be nice to just take joy in some of the creations of our people. So the first one I'm going to start with is the teddy bear. So there was a political cartoon by someone named Clifford Berryman who inspired the teddy bear. So a man named Morris Mitcom, a Brooklyn candy shop owner, and his wife Rose created a stuffed bear in honor of Theodore Teddy Roosevelt. It all began, and you might have heard this part of the story. I had heard this part before, but not the second part, that Teddy Roosevelt had gone on a hunting trip in 1902, but he failed to locate a single bear. So his assistants apparently cornered and tied a black bear to a tree, I know it sounds terrible, for the American president to shoot. And Roosevelt was a big game hunter, but he refused to kill the bear because it would be unsportsmanlike, which I think we all can agree to. And a political cartoonist turned that fateful hunting trip into satire. And when the Mitcoms saw the cartoon, they decided to make a new toy and call it Teddy's Bear. And that invention was widely popular. And so Teddy Bear came from this event, Teddy's Bear. Now, I should also note, though, that across the ocean, a German family named Steiff created stuffed toy bears with shoe button eyes and an embroidered nose. So I don't know if that was already in existence, but at least the term teddy bear came from Teddy's Bear. So I thought that was kind of cute. Then there are these, and I remember these when I was a kid. They're these talking teeth, the yakety yak. So Noah, if you wouldn't mind grabbing this and passing it around. Excuse me. Okay, thank you. So in the 1940s, an ad for a false teeth holder called a tooth garage amused someone named Eddie Goldfarb. He imagined a pair of dentures chomping, sputtering down the road and parking in their proper place. And that image inspired Goldfarb to create a wind-up toy known as Chattering Teeth. And when his gag chompers debuted in the 1950s, the packaging read, "Amazing, they walk, they talk, they're alive." And even as a youngster, when he lived in Chicago, Goldfarb was inventing toys and crafting action figures from the cardboard inserts in laundered shirts. So these talking or chattering teeth came from a Jewish inventor. Then there was a person named Sam Bourne. Now, originally, he was educated in the Ukraine in a rabbinic school in 1891. And when his family moved to France, he started working in a candy store and he learned the business. In 1910, his family emigrated to the United States and was responsible for many innovations, Sam was, including he created the technology to produce chocolate sprinkles, which at the time were called Jimmies, and I have at times heard them called Jimmies. He created the hard chocolate coating used for Eskimo pies. And then in 1916, he was given the key to the city of San Francisco for inventing the machine that mechanically inserted sticks into lollipops, and it was called the Bourne Sucker Machine. So in 1923, he began to manufacture candy, and his company was called Just Bourne because the products were so fresh. And what did his company create? Can anybody see this from Mike and Ike candies? Also, hot tamales and peanut chews, and he earned a place in the Candy Hall of Fame. So that's something else. I'll share one more, although there are several. A man named Laszlo Biro. He was a Hungarian-Argentine inventor. That's an interesting combination. He came up with the idea of the modern-day ballpoint pen. So he worked as an editor for a newspaper in Hungary. And he had a problem with ink from the fountain pens because they smudged and they took too long to dry. But he noticed that the ink from the printing presses where the papers were made, they didn't smudge and they dried pretty quickly. So he tried putting the ink from the printing press into the fountain pens, the fountain pen, but he couldn't get it to flow into the dip. So this man named Laszlo Biro worked with his brother, who was a chemist. You're familiar with this? Elaine is shaking her head, yes? And he developed a new tip with a ball that moved freely in a socket. And they presented, these two brothers, the first working ballpoint pen at the Budapest International Fair in 1931. So there are other inventions that were made, but I thought that those were pretty interesting ones, and they're still around, right? The ballpoint pen, I think they still sell Mike and Ike's, yeah. And the teeth, I haven't seen them in a while, but my guess is yes, you can still find those, great. And of course, teddy bears are everywhere, I'm sorry. You can still find hot tamales. So these are just some things that can make us feel good tonight about being Jewish. So I wish everybody a joyful Shabbat Shalom, and maybe go grab one of these tonight and feel good. I'm going to invite Nancy to deliver some announcements.
Yes, I can attest you can still buy hot tamales. They're everywhere. Shabbat Shalom. We have services tomorrow at 10:30. Encourage everybody to try Saturday morning services. They're great. August 25th, Watts is doing a meetup at the Louisville Botanical Gardens for Tiny Trees, the Bonsai Festival, and everyone is welcome. This Sunday from 6:30 to 8:30, we have a security training here with SCN Security Director Stuart Lowry, and it's a good way to familiarize yourself with safety and security measures in the building. RSVP to me tonight if you want to come and haven't done so. September 4th from 1 to 3, Watts is meeting up at Locust Grove for a lecture on treaties expansion in the Northwest Territory from the indigenous perspective, and that is $8. Everyone should be receiving, if you haven't already, the high holiday information that came out this week. If you didn't receive it, contact the office. We've had a change in how we're doing the Mishaberach list. So just a reminder that the names of your loved ones remain on the list for 4 weeks. If you want them to remain longer, that's certainly fine. Just let Rabbi know. And the names that we have now remain throughout the month. Jewish Heritage Day at the Bats is September 8th. Our high holiday kickoff and Selichot service takes place on Saturday, September 28th at 5:30 with a barbecue, s'mores service, and changing Torah covers. And everyone should come because that is my birthday. And you can say happy birthday, Nancy, when you come. It's not a big one quite yet, but it will be soon. Mitzvah Day to take care of our grounds ahead of the holidays is Sunday, September 29th from 9 to noon. If you walked in, you can see we need some help weeding, so come on in. We'll have light refreshments. Thank you to Aviv for leading us in music and Rabbi for leading us in services. And thank you to Laurie for streaming. And then after services, join us for Kiddush, Motzi, and an Oneg. Shabbat Shalom, y'all.
Shabbat Shalom, Nancy. Thank you. And Nancy, we wish you safe travels back to school with Willa. And two other things. I wanted to say, if you want to let Nancy know tonight that you want to come on Sunday, great. But if you decide on Sunday that you want to come and you have not RSVP'd, please just come, because the group is still manageable and we can certainly have more folks. So if you want to, and part of it is to walk the building and to, you know, like, it's a training, but it's also going to be specific to our building. So just putting that out there. And also, next Friday night, because it is Labor Day weekend, our Friday night services and our Saturday morning services will be on Zoom. So next week on Zoom, I know that's not everybody's favorite, but please, everyone's welcome. And the Zoom link will go out. And then, starting on September 5th, Shabbat services will start at 7 p.m. Okay, so people have been asking for that, so that will be the change starting the first Friday after Labor Day, okay? And thank you, Nancy, for being our Bima guest and for delivering the announcements. We're going to continue in the middle of 282. I ask those who are able to please rise for Aleinu L'Shabbat.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, latei gdula liotzer b'reshit, shelo asanu kigoyei ha'aratzot, velo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkeinu kahem, v'goraleinu kechol hamonam, v'anachnu korim umishtachavim umodim lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu
284.
shehu noteh shamayim veyoser haaretz umoshad yikaro b'shamayim ima'al Ushchinatu zo, begavei meromim, hu Eloheinu einod, emet malkeinu efes zulato, kakatuv betorato, biadata hayom v'hashivota el elavacha, ki Adonai hu ha'Elohim, b'shamayim ima'al, v'al ha'aretz mitachat ein od
287.
ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו
Please be seated. And we're going to continue with the singing of You Gotta Move, our pre-Kaddish song, so to speak.
For the few people here who may have not heard this, this is a Mississippi Fred McDowell tune, and really the only part you have is you got to move, you got to move, you got to move, you got to move. When the Lord gets ready, you got to move. You got to move, you got to move, You got to move, child, you got to move. When the Lord gets ready, well, you got to move. You might be high, you might be low. You might be rich, child, you might be poor. But when the Lord gets ready, well, you got to move. You got to move. You got to move. You got to move, child. You got to move. When the Lord gets ready, well, you got to move. You see that people, they're walking that street. See the policeman, he's walking that beat. When the Lord gets ready, well, you got to move. You got to move. You got to move. You got to move, child. You got to move. When the Lord gets ready, well, you got to move.
If you are here to recite Kaddish for a loved one, you're invited to rise when their name is read aloud. Tonight we remember Patricia Barron, Eugene Charna, Norman Cummings, Leo Frank, Bernard Goldwyn, Gerald Gould, Bertha Hershkowitz, Carrie Kleinman, Howard Rennick, Kenneth Satin, Richard Sharp, Arnold Silverman, and we hold in our hearts the following 6 hostages whose bodies were recovered in Gaza this week: Yoram Metzger, Alexander Dansk, Avraham Munder, Chaim Perry, Nadav Popplewell, Yagev Bushtab. Our thoughts are with their family members as well as they mourn the loss of their loved ones. I invite the congregation to please rise as we join together as a community in the recitation of the Mourner's Kaddish, page 294. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'yalma divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayeichon uvyomeichon uv'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kari v'yimeru amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah Mevorach Leolam Olamei Olmaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar v'yitalev v'yitalal Shemei Dekudasha Barichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata. Da'amiran b'alma v'yimeru amen. Yehei Shlama Rabba Min Shemaya, V'chayim Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael, V'yimeru, Amen. Oseh Shalom B'mromav, Hu Ya'aseh Shalom, Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael, V'yimeru, Amen. May the source of strength, may the source of peace and peace to all who mourn, and comfort to all who are bereaved. And let us say together,
Amen.
please be seated. Our concluding song this evening can be found on a handout. It's The Door of a Door by Josh Nelson.
gifts, and we are blessings. We are His story in song. We are hope, and we are healing. We are learning to be strong. We are words, and we are stories. We are pictures of the past. We are carriers of wisdom, not the first and not the last. The door vador, nagi golevan. The door vador, we protect this chain. From generation to generation, Adore, adore, these lips will praise your name. Looking back on the journey that we carry in our hearts, from the shadow of the mountain to the waters that would part. We are blessed and we are holy. We are children of your way, and words that bring us meaning, we will have the strength to say. Adore, vador, nagi godlecha. Adore, vador, we protect this chain. From generation to generation, Adore, vador, these lips will praise your name. Adore, vador, nagi godlecha. Adore, vador, we protect this chain. From generation to generation, Adore, vador, these lips will praise your name.
Turn to someone near you and wish them Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. That was an easy one.
Yeah.
Shabbat Shalom. Glad you're here. Safe travels. Shabbat Shalom.